So I unmuted and it was like, blah, 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 like screamed from the laptop that they had in the corner of the room. Just like, oh, you missed this thing. Make sure to read it like this. And they were like, oh, crap, you're still on the line. And then the next day, I think Bruce was like, just stay on the line from now on. I remember the drunk gameplays I really liked because it seemed like one of the few times I could actually like really tie one on with my coworkers and we could have fun together. I don't know, it's like seeing a cool magic trick that even if you've watched years of magic, for a second you still have that, whoa, how did they do that? So that's kind of where my undying love of video games comes from.
I'm Naomi, and this is Game Rant's Pause for Thought, the show where I sit down with the most talented voices in gaming. Today, Lawrence Sonntag joins me. From Inside Gaming to the heavily missed Funhaus team, Lawrence has spent years at the center of gaming and pop culture and has since then gone completely independent alongside some familiar faces. We talk about his thoughts on the current state of gaming, his unique path into the space, and what he's been working on lately, plus his current Game of the Year pick. Lawrence, welcome to the show. It's so good to have you.
Yeah, it's good to be here. I'm excited to talk about everything.
Everything. Oh yeah, I do want to talk about everything because I feel like you've had such an interesting career, if I do say so myself.
Yeah, I tend to think that, but I'm in my own body, so I don't get the perspective.
That's true. That's true. But what have you been up to these days? Let's just start there.
Man, doing exactly what I want all the time, which I guess is maybe not the best way to introduce myself. But yeah, every day is basically my personal dream. I'm managing 2 YouTube channels. There's a games editorial news channel, and then an edited comedy gameplay channel. And then I stream on Twitch, basically just get to plug through my eternal backlog of games, just always playing new stuff and savoring games, both new and old. And then I also get to go to events and travel and stuff. So it's just everything. It's been great.
Amazing. And you were just in a gaming tournament, you told me, pre us starting to record.
Yeah. I got invited to the Progressive Next streamer tournament, and I don't do a lot of competitive gaming despite really liking super challenging games. So this is kind of a new experience for me, but yeah, we've been doing great so far. It's very intoxicating to get on a team when everybody's pushing in the same direction. It's a feeling you don't get a lot as like a solo streamer and content creator. You're kind of just doing your own thing, surrounded by apps, and like I kind of feel like Dick Van Dyke and Mary Poppins, excuse me. Just one man banding all the time.
You're not Mary Poppins. You're the other guy, right?
I'm Dick Van Dyke. Yeah, I'm the.
You're Dick Van Dyke. Can you believe he's 100 years old?
No. Yeah. Gosh, what a delightful individual. There's a couple of losses on the horizon that I'm not looking forward to, and that's for sure one of them.
Oh, me too. Same. But so the tournament is still ongoing from what it sounds like. What's it called?
The Next Streamer Tournament. We're in chapter 2 right now. Yeah, okay. And I haven't been eliminated yet, so we'll see. There's another draft coming next Thursday. So maybe I'll be a little more despondent come then. But yeah, we've had some good matches so far.
Are you hoping to win the whole thing?
We'll see. There's a cash prize on it. I've already told Steph, my partner, that if we win, I'm taking her to Greece because she's always wanted to go. And then yeah, I have some other people that have some like medical expenses that I'd really like to just swoop in and erase that for them. So yeah, I've already been designing on the money a little bit, although I'm also promising myself that I'll be totally fine if everything works. I'll be the crying guy behind the mask of normal face.
Good mentality to have though, just like I'm just gonna have fun and hope for the best, but no huge expectations.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not a particularly competitive person, which is an interesting mix because I'm in a very competitive field. So that's a fun dynamic.
Yeah, that's
true.
I
typically shy away from that because I don't see it as necessary most of the time. So going after it specifically is kind of a new mentality to get into.
Oh man. Well, I wish you the best of luck. I think you're going to crush it and people should tune in. I'm sure they're going to watch.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, let's get to, because you have been in games journalism for a long time. Like you said, you're running multiple channels now. But how did this whole passion for games, even just the journalism aspect, how did that enter your life? Were you a very curious kid growing up?
About certain things, yeah. And I think technology and video games it just lit a fire in me very early. It's when I could feel my DNA vibrate the first time I saw a video game. And from there, I just knew I had to be connected to it. And that feeling kind of persisted all the way through childhood. And when I was a kid, a million years ago, we had magazines, printed stuff. And just the idea that you could work full time on something connected to video games. Of course, I knew that people made them, but yeah, the idea that there could be like a secondary derivative of a market that was more expressive or had art criticism kind of in it. that was awesome to me. That was the pinnacle, and I did not necessarily estimate my chances as very high of actually getting to do something like that. So I decided to split the difference somewhere. I think when I was in high school, I was like, well, I'm pretty good with computers. I like computers. So I can go into college for computer science. That way, if I get that degree, I could maybe become a game dev. But then along the way, I invested a lot of my spare time into writing about games. So at the same time I was learning programming, I was also on the newspaper staff at my high school and in college. I was actually editor in chief of my high school paper. I forgot that until just now. So yeah, big stuff, huh? Yeah, big player in big time Azle, Texas, which is a pretty small town, or it was a pretty small town. They have a Walmart now, so they're
Oh
on the
wow.
map.
Yeah, it's grown.
A little bit.
My little town also got a Walmart. It changes the whole dynamic of the town, I will say.
It really does. Yeah, everybody converges in one spot versus people just kind of aimlessly drifting everywhere.
Right.
And I've reflected on this a bit too. Maybe this is something we have in common, but like I'd referenced, Azle, pretty rural town in Texas. So video games were one of the few windows, like video games and movies, were one of the few windows I had to explore something that wasn't, vast fields of dirt and dying grass. And that way, like that was another thing that made it so intoxicating is when you're a kid, you can't really go anywhere or do anything. With a video game, you have all these worlds to explore and all these cool things. It's kind of, you get to be the author of your own experience. So I think that also really, really zoned me into it. And as an adult, sometimes I wonder, I could just go places and have real life experiences, but I keep playing video games. So what's that all about?
Yeah, what is that all about? I think about that with social media a lot. Like I'm seeing all these beautiful places, like people traveling the world or all these really cute moments. And I'm like, but will that dim like the real life experiences that I have that are similar to that because I've already seen it and experienced it in a way? I don't know. Think about that sometimes.
Yeah, for
A little
sure.
existential. Do you remember the video game that like you said, like just captured you and you were like, okay, this is what I need to do?
There are a couple of moments I can think that are kind of seared into my memory. And at this point, though, memory's weird. Now I wonder how much of what I remember is actually true. But the splitting moment that I have was being at daycare, and I think they had an Atari hooked up to the TV. And I think I had woken up from nap time and wandered into the room and they were playing Pitfall. But it took me like 10 years after that to remember in reverse that they were playing Pitfall. I had no idea what it was because I think I was like 3 or 4.
Oh my God.
But
Very
yeah.
young.
But yeah, I remember seeing it and just being transfixed. The idea that you could like control something happening on the screen. I remember also being kind of obsessed with buttons as a kid. Just the idea of pressing something and it changing something. Another weird moment I remember is I was in elementary school and the teacher was asking all the kids what they wanted to be when they grew up. And I didn't know the word for it, but I knew that I really liked that big machine that everybody was using at the end of the grocery store that had all the buttons on it. And every button made a noise and did something cool. So I was like, I want to do that. I want to hit all those buttons. And then the entire class laughed and I could not understand why, or at least all the adults did, that was my dream. But here I am sitting in front of a rack full of buttons that all do cool stuff. So who's laughing now?
Perfectly good point. You actually, I've read that you are an obsessive gamer. I know you love buttons, but like I'm sure that plays
Sure.
into it. Is that still true? Like, is that somebody that you still identify with being an obsessive gamer?
It's got some baggage, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Culturally, I'm not sure. Maybe not that, but not capital G gamer. But I still feel a deep fascination with video games or interactive entertainment because it's kind of the intersection of every amazing school of artistry, and they all have to work in concert, separate from any of the creators overseeing it or actively, executing it. So it's, to me, I got kind of into cars and machinery like that because you can kind of see and celebrate the decades of progress and each person coming in and changing thing a little bit, doing this thing, trying this thing out. And it all results in this amazing machine that's really complicated, but you can still break it down and kind of understand its parts as they work together. So video games are kind of like that. It's this huge engine that's just churning in real time, thousands of times a second. Well, maybe more like hundreds of times a second, but still. It's just throwing frames at you and generating audio, and somehow that illusion creates this perception of interactivity that still is magical to me now, even though I pretty much understand top to bottom how it works. I don't know. It's like seeing a cool magic trick that even if you've watched years of magic, for a second, you still have that, whoa, how did they do that? And you can know magic's not real, but still be amazed that someone was able to pull off something so cool. So that's kind of where my undying love of video games comes from, even though I still play them. I play them a lot, maybe too much. I gotta get some distance sometimes.
Yeah. Do you ever find time to do different things like besides gaming? You must be working 24/7, it feels like.
Yeah, yes and no. I never work a day in my life pretty much because I get
Good
to do what
point.
I
Good
like.
point.
So it doesn't feel that way. But when I think about the time and how I spend it, yes, a whole lot gets kind of swallowed into the void of playing video games. But that's life. I don't know what else I'd be doing with my time. I like to travel. I like to exercise. I like to cook.
Oh,
So there's a variety of things that I do that aren't just playing video games or running a business or
yeah.
producing YouTube content. But that is a lot of it. I don't know, read books. There's
Yeah.
not yeah, when I went independent back in 2019, I had this illusion that now I could do it all. I could do everything because now I can do whatever I want. And that's true to a degree, but time is still finite. And if you want to get good at anything, you have to sort of assign your time respectively. So for a while, I tried to do a lot of things and was just kind of bad at all of them, and it wasn't very satisfying. So I then decided to just sort of give up on a couple of things and focus my interest on the things that were most important and really refine and dive into that. So it's kind of what I've done.
Oh, nice. Would you say when it comes to cooking, like, is there something specific that you're really obsessed with right now that you're just loving to cook? Or are you learning new things?
I'm learning new things. I would love to get my air fryer potato game down pat. I cannot match the ones that you just buy from the store, like the Ore-Ida air fryer potatoes. I want to take a russet potato and prep it to get that perfect crunch. So I'm experimenting with that a little bit, trying to up my potato game.
Potatoes are great.
Oh yeah,
They're so good.
big fan.
Big fan of potatoes. What about when it comes, you said you read books. Do you ever have time to write as well? Like, do you have time still? Because that's kind of what you started in, right? It was like games journalism pretty much and writing, like you said.
Yeah. I still write scripts almost every day for Inside Games. It's not creative writing, which I used to do a little bit when COVID broke out. I would type up these micro stories, like page and a half, trying to like really nail down tight prose, suggest things that aren't necessarily important to like a page and a half of story. So that was fun, of like imagining a whole story and then sort of tightening my focus to one segment of that story and trying to tell that completely. So that was a fun writing exercise. But kind of like I'd said, I think I did some good stuff there. I could probably put together like a coffee table book of a bunch of micro stories for whatever that's worth. But the internet is filled with a bunch of very talented creative writers who are doing that all the time, every day. I don't know. This is something I'm actually curious. I'd like to ask you about. It is difficult for me to find the motivation to try to do anything profound because I'm surrounded by media all day from everybody trying to do the same. So I feel like there's no need there. Why would I even?
Yeah. No, I relate to that a lot. Like sometimes I'm scrolling, I'm like, people are so freaking talented. They're so freaking funny. Like the internet is inundated with talent, and we're exposed to it every day. So it can be, at least for me, like a little bit intimidating. I'm like, okay, well, how do I even top that? Or how do I even start working like towards something like what I've already seen, you know? Yeah.
I think the most successful people don't have that voice. They just do. And
They
it's
just
like,
do. That's right.
somebody already did that. So what? I'll do
Yeah.
it too.
Well, I mean, there's that too. So I'll oscillate between both. Like I'll definitely be the person who's like, oh my God, today this is like, can't believe I just saw this incredible thing. I would love to do something like that one day. And then the other days where I don't have that voice, then I'm a lot more inclined to do the creative part and like get the creative juices going and start creating. And like you said, just do.
Basically, I try to focus a lot of those desires and desire to express those skills into the stuff I already do. So yeah, when I'm writing scripts for Inside Games, I'll try to write in like little jokes or references or things like that, like a setup and a punchline. It's not writing a full script, but it's just getting that one little thing every day and trying to get a little bit better at that. Matching the people I work with and their tone, and I know how they deliver lines, and now I can kind of write into that. like, and seeing that process go, and then like teams that we've worked together now for years, growing together, establishing a rapport. So there's a lot of satisfaction to be found there.
Yeah, I mean, they say that a lot of people's success is just all the consistent work that happens in between, right? And like even if it's sometimes seems boring, like all that leads to the bigger picture, right, at the end.
Hmm.
And you just seem to keep doing that. I'm really curious about when you were growing up, were your parents at all like in the space? Like what did they do? And what like kind of spearheaded this very creative, because you're very well spoken and you're very and you're a great writer. So I feel like, was there something in your upbringing, or what do you think became such that part for you? Like what grew that part for you?
You know, I've tried to figure that out myself, because I don't think there's a lot of math there that really makes sense. My dad was an electrical engineer, so he was connected with technology, but he also didn't really like technology.
Oh yeah, it's like my
Very
dad.
old soul. Yeah.
Right.
And that's like, it's a little bit different nowadays. You hear stories about like people that work for tech companies, so they do not let their kids on like Facebook. This was more like he just had like kind of more a deep, abiding dislike of technology. He kind of fetishized the past. And that expressed itself in a variety of ways. We were in a, sorry, random thing, but yeah, my dad was in an American folk music band that I played in as a teenager because there was just nothing else to do. Yeah, he got us all outfits. We wore suspenders and hats.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it was pretty dorky. I can send you a photo. It might make for good fodder for the podcast, but
Hell yeah.
that's what I was up to. That was how I creatively expressed myself, because there weren't really any other outlets.
What did you play in the band before we?
Gosh, I played bass, cello, mandolin, and rhythm guitar.
Multifaceted, multi-talented. That's impressive.
Well, this might get into boring territory, but we would play dances. It relates to video games in a way. So we would play these dances, and they were kind of like square dances, except it was two big lines. So it's called a contra dance. And each of the dance numbers was like 15 minutes long, because you'd have rows of about 20 people. They dance with a partner across from them, and then the line would shift. So you dance with each partner up and down the line, doing a series of moves that the caller would walk through before the dance started. But for us in the band, playing the same song for 15 minutes is boring as hell. So we would basically make these medleys or whatever DJ sets of like 4 different songs. And then, because even that gets boring when you're playing for like 3 hours, we would switch instruments. So whenever we do a song swap, sometimes we just swap instruments in the middle of the thing just to keep it spicy. So that's why I ended up playing so many different instruments, just to
got it.
keep it going.
Yeah.
But sorry. The way that it relates to games also, I'm dominating the conversation here. I promise I'll back off. But
this is all about you, so you're doing great.
They're very similar to raids, like MMO raids. It's nearly exactly the same thing. You'll have like a shot caller that explains all the moves, and it's like, okay, when he does fiery cleave, I need this group to go over here and that group to go over there. Exactly the same thing. And then you go into the fight, and the person is still calling out the moves, and the groups do what they need to do, and people meet up and split into groups and meet up again. It's great. It's great to see. Some things never get old, is what I'm saying. A lot of human traditions persist, even if they're digital now.
Yeah, that's a really good point. And so you think growing up, it was mainly just the creative media that you were consuming that like got you really invested in wanting to write and like get creative in the mind.
Thank you for bringing me back to that. Gosh, I'm rambling a lot.
No, you're good. This is my job.
Yeah. Yeah, very good at it. I think, let's see here. I think the ingredients were, my mom was a teacher. I was in a household that valued learning.
Yeah,
so,
teachers. I mean,
yeah,
that's perfect.
You'd hope, right?
Yeah.
So there was always a lot of stress put on my academic performance, but they were also pretty cheap. So when I was a kid, we would just go to the library a lot, and there, like I said, almost nothing else to do. I didn't get a lot of video games, so I, just beat the brakes off the ones that I had, and that was kind of it. So I would just get, stacks and stacks of books every time, getting the max and returning the old group. So probably reading a lot when I was younger kind of put me on the writing path. But I think also before internet, before YouTube, before streaming, writing seemed like the one thing that anyone could do to try to get a job connected with video games. The one way to express your commentary or your appraisal of a game was writing. I did, like I said, I did written reviews. I put written reviews up on a Jedi Knight fan site that my clan had. One of the dudes would just like carve me out a folder, and then I had a used book on HTML that I got from a bookstore. So I just punched up reviews for Command and Conquer 2, I think, published it there so no one could read, but that was how it started. Then I started writing them for the paper, for my college paper. Then I got on some volunteer websites. But yeah, it was really just back then, I think it was the most approachable vector to getting to where I wanted to go, which is pretty much just doing this.
Doing what you're doing. Which, you know, you got into writing, and then how did that translate into the on-camera stuff? You know, doing entertainment, comedy, gaming content on the internet.
Yeah, that's kind of a winding path. So in the late 2000s, I was volunteering for a few websites, one of which actually fired me, and they never told me why. That was weird. But I went from
call them
there.
up.
Yeah, I think I know who.
Not sure if they're around anymore.
I don't know if I could. I would have a way to contact them, but maybe I will, just out of curiosity. But one of the websites that I had volunteered with when I was in college, one of the individuals that I had volunteered with as part of that quote unquote staff was working at a company called Machinima.
Oh yeah.
And this is kind of how I got my foot in the door into video. The way it was explained to me is at the time they wanted to basically push their way onto Metacritic. And when they asked what that would take, the Metacritic representative said, I don't know, just publish 100 reviews or something like that. So they took that literally and basically went to hire as many contracting writers as they could to just knock out game reviews. And for me, that was the perfect gig ever, to just sit at home and grind out a game and then write up a piece and get paid for it. That was like so close. That was so close to the finish line. So I worked like crazy because they paid pretty good contracting rates back then too. That eventually turned into a job offer where I moved out to LA. My job at Machinima to begin with was just to make and send a daily newsletter, because they thought, I think, that if they put an ad spot in this newsletter, and because they're Machinima, everyone's going to love what they do, this newsletter is going to go to hundreds of thousands of people. It never did. I'm not quite sure what happened to that, but that was originally my entire job. But I finished that in like 30 minutes whenever I get into the office. So I just spent the rest of the time kind of trying to contribute to anything else, asking anyone if they needed any help with anything. At some point, they launched a blog, the Inside Gaming blog. So I was churning out content for that, just writing up loads and loads of articles. But somewhere along the line, I'd offered, like, I'm already scouring the news to look for blog articles to pump up this blog. I can make a digest for the video show. I can just give you like a hot sheet of what's going on today, and you can choose to talk about that or not. That turned into like a headline with a few bullets. That turned into a headline with a few bullets with a few sub bullets. That turned into like some jokes sprinkled here and there, connecting to other stories, and it eventually just kind of built out into a script. And that's kind of how I got into writing for the show. How I got on the show is a different story, kind of a cool one, and one that I actually am very grateful for, because in this industry, there's not a lot of people that have gone out of their way to like lift me up. It's usually everybody clawing for themselves, and whoever gets the food gets to eat. But
yeah, it does feel like that sometimes.
Yeah. A good friend of mine who I still work with very frequently, Bruce Green, had become the producer of Inside Gaming when we were at Machinima. They did some like personnel shakeups. At the time, I was still writing scripts for them, but I was doing it remotely because I had moved back to Texas due to some personal stuff that didn't go so well. So what happened was, the flow we had is that I would call in when they got into the office in the morning. They'd go over the script, ask me any questions. I'd clarify anything to make sure they didn't get any dates wrong or anything like that. And then they'd hang up and I'd go on with my day. I'd collect my like contracting fee for writing the script, and that was it. Then one day, I think they forgot to hang up. They just went into recording and I was still on the call. So I was like, oh, this is fun. I've never heard like them actually shoot before, so I'll just chill out and listen. And I was muted. And then I think one of them misread something or said something wrong, and I was like, uh-oh. So I unmuted and it was like, blah, 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 like screamed from the laptop that they had in the corner of the room. Just like, oh, you missed this thing. Make sure to read it like this. And they were like, oh, crap, you're still on the line. But thank you. And then the next day, I think Bruce was like, just stay on the line from now on. And he started throwing to me in the show, and then the camera would just show like a laptop on a shelf with my like Skype audio coming through. So it became a really good show bit, but was also, not only was it very generous to carve out some screen time for me, but also a very safe way to get into being on camera, because I was not good at it. I'm still not great at it, but being able to hide behind just a flat JPEG and being on only a voice for a while was a phenomenal way to kind of train up on how to be camera
Yeah.
friendly.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, what a great story too. Like it's very serendipitous that it worked out that way.
It really is. Yeah, but it's the way that I think about it is the serendipity can only happen when you're there. So it is the day after
Yeah.
day. And then yeah, you kind of wait for the lucky star to shoot.
Oh man. And then how did Funhouse come into the picture? Because that must have been just obviously Bruce, I'm assuming, brought you into that, or something must have happened there where you're like, okay, we're going to start this thing.
Yes, we were doing really well as a productive group inside of Machinima. Our channels were cash positive. We were earning money, but Machinima as a business was starting to not do so well. So just the temperature there was not great. We were not valued because the money we were bringing in wasn't going to save the company. So we were just kind of used. We were just kind of like ignored, I guess. But we had ambitions and we knew we were doing a good job. So there were some conversations that started that I was not a part of. At that point, I had moved back to LA. So I was still kind of ironically sort of new to the group, even though I had been working on Inside Gaming since like 2009 at that point. But this was like 2014, I think. They had started talking with Rooster Teeth. I think Adam Kovic specifically had gone and visited them and had some conversations. There were some clandestine meetings where, yeah, they'd wanted to hire some of us away. They had argued to take the whole group, which I'm very appreciative of. Some other clandestine meetings with Machinima where we kind of put our terms out there because we didn't want to really restart the brand. We wanted to reach some kind of agreement where the brand could be loaned to us or something like that. But their terms were not realistic. So we just quit in a group, got hired in a group by Rooster Teeth. So we were employees on day one. And then about a week after getting hired, we launched the new channel Funhaus, which was patterned more after the gameplay side of Inside Gaming. So that's maybe a meaningless distinction, but under Inside Gaming, when we were at Machinima, we had the daily news show, and then they started doing, just out of nowhere, edited gameplays. And those started taking off. It just grew a channel out of nothing because we were plugging it on the news show. So Rooster Teeth already had a news show called The No. So we started just basically doing comedy gameplays with Funhaus. And yeah, it took off right from the start. And it was a really, really fun ride while it lasted.
Oh man. Yeah, I can only imagine everything just happening and it was like you hit lightning in a bottle a little bit, you know?
We were right place, right time. Yeah. It was a bunch of talented people kind of all on a similar wavelength at the right time. It was also a different era of YouTube where like it wasn't competing with TikTok, it wasn't competing with OnlyFans. So there was a lot more crowd on YouTube, and also YouTube was much more lax about content censorship back then. So we got to get away with some stuff that I think contributed to our success that you couldn't really just replicate now. In fact, oh boy, my knuckles have been cracked many times by YouTube in the last 6 months, I think, for even doing things remotely close to that.
Oh, really? So they've really upped their censorship, or not censorship, that's like the wrong term. But you know what I mean? Like they've really cracked down on like making sure the content's kid friendly. Like why are they being so
I couldn't say.
hard right now, you think?
They're getting very prudish, very like sexual content at all. None of it is allowed in any capacity.
Okay.
So yeah, I think recently even a bunch of ASMR YouTubers got thrown off the platform because their content was
I remember
too
seeing
sexual. Yeah. So I got a strike because I was reading a romance novel. So just saying the words was too much.
So you're gonna have to, going forward, be very careful about that sort of stuff. Which
Yes.
is okay.
Yep, different environment. And when it comes to comedy gameplays, that does take out a particular chunk of comedic material.
Yeah.
Because I love
Yeah.
sex in games. I think it's one of the things that's rarely done well, but there's a lot of camp value to be found.
Right. Double entendres are some of the best comedy out there
Indeed, they
as
are.
well when it comes to stuff like that. Yeah. Well, I'm sorry you're dealing with that. That's really such a bummer. And yeah, very interesting how things are changing these days. Do you have kind of a take on, like, what's your perspective on media currently? Because you came from games journalism. That's changed a lot over the years.
Video now is kind of a solidarity manufacturing machine. People go to the internet to find the opinion they want, and it has become the de facto job of content creators to fill that demand. So there's not a lot of consideration for the truth or commentary in there. It's mostly just people click on the thing they want to watch, and the thing they want to watch is the thing they already agree with. So when it comes to games media, I think that infiltrates every aspect of online content and discourse. But yeah, a lot of games media is very sycophantic to the audience. And what's ironic is the audience doesn't know that. So if anybody puts a toe out of line, suddenly they're seen as in the pocket of a developer or something like that.
Yeah, it's been very interesting. Actually, I love that you said that because it's very much. I feel like we're at a weird time, and I wonder if it'll just keep getting worse, or if it will, like, people will get tired of that. Like, how do we kind of bring it back to something more grounded, something more, like you said, based in truth, and that, commentary is listened to, and it's not just chasing like uh clickbait stuff.
It's a great question to ask oneself,
I don't know if there's no answer, I'd imagine, because we don't know what the future holds,
right?
but yeah.
Yeah. What I predict is that some people will develop the sort of mental immune system to basically just segregate everything on the internet as being in its own bubble of weirdness. But I think most people who try to have some kind of tether to reality will quarantine all that stuff in their minds away. At least this is what I've done. Maybe I'm just projecting, but for me now, anything I see on the internet is automatically put in a, well, that may be true, but it's probably not, suspicion bucket, especially if it has an easily identified agenda behind it. So for me, what's real is whatever I exist with in meat space, whatever I perceive with my eyes, and the people that I interact with face to face. Everything else is just theater. So that makes it a bit tough to participate in that theater. I think I've come a long way in accepting that what I do and the way I do it may not be the most popular, but when I look at what's the most popular, I'm not sure that that's for me. So,
Right. Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, and that's important to look at because I think it is a little bit, I don't know, dangerous in a way, like that so much of the media, like, you just can't trust these days. And so sticking true to like yourself, that's really all you can do, I feel like, on the internet.
Yeah, and it can be hard to remember who that was, especially if all you want, like me for the longest time, all I wanted is to hit this, what I imagined a success was to be self-sufficient doing this kind of media. And if that's the goal, it can lead to you unknowingly compromising a lot of things, or even discovering that maybe you didn't have as firm a grasp on who you are as you thought you did.
We're always just so inundated with like different influences too. So it's hard to keep track. You get like, oh, did I get influenced by this? Or is this really what I feel like? Or is this really my opinion? It's an interesting time. But you're at the precipice of it, and you have been for a long time. And taking it back a little bit to Funhaus, because that was such a huge part of your life. Do you remember like the day to day there? Like what was the behind the scenes day in the life at Funhaus? Like, are there distinct memories that you always come back to?
Oh man, there's a ton of them for sure. The day to day was just busy, just awfully busy. I always filled my plate and then some, which in retrospect was not the wisest call because I didn't necessarily acknowledge my own temperament in that. So I would often overload myself and then be a little crabby and difficult to work with, which makes the work much harder to do if you're constantly like irritating everyone around you. So in retrospect, I have some clarity on that, which made it a little more intense than it needed to be. But at the time, I think I really wanted to test myself and my boundaries. And also it seemed, I just had this awareness that now is the time. This is the sprint. We have the resources, we have the time, we have the talent. We should make as many cool things as we possibly can. And so, yeah, I think that knowledge, I think, led to me kind of, yeah, overloading my plate a couple times. But yeah, basically the day to day would be, I would come in. If we were back when we were doing news episodes, I'd write a script or prep a script for that. We'd do the shoot, and then I'd oversee the edit. And then whatever time I had left was done either producing the recurring videos that I did, so GTA gameplays, or doing edits on other videos that had already been shot, or just coming up with new weird stuff to do, because I was never really at a loss for ideas. So yeah, always something to chew on. But yeah, I neglected myself in that process. So, always learning things, but I also definitely found my limits. So that was good.
So when you're saying are you saying that you had a bit of burnout, like, or you were, because I guess that is inevitable because it's you were kind of going like 100 miles an hour, just trying to get everything out there, right?
as time went on, more opportunities were made available, but I guess I probably didn't do a good enough job of putting the old or migrating the old opportunities to someone else. So yeah, in 2019, I definitely hit a period of burnout. I actually know exactly when it happened. But at the time, I was managing the Inside Gaming channel. So remember when I said Machinima didn't want to come to a business arrangement to let us carry Inside Gaming to Rooster Teeth? Something very funny happened where Warner eventually acquired the company that acquired Rooster Teeth. And then they also had acquired Machinima before that. So we ended up under the same corporate umbrella after like 4 years apart. So they ended up bringing back Inside Gaming. And because I had worked on it for the longest time, I guess, I was given the opportunity to manage that. And well, with the exception of Adam, of course. But I was given the opportunity to manage that channel, which included some employees in Austin that had been working on the No before that, and then a group of employees that were actually working at Machinima before Warner shut that down. So basically, I had 2 teams in 2 different time zones that I'd never worked with before that I tried to organize into doing daily news production. That was one of my jobs. I was still producing content for Funhaus. And then we had some I cannot say no to this kind of opportunities come up in 2019 specifically. We had a sketch comedy show called Arizona Circle that was like our premium production, fully scripted. A lot of amazing stuff in there. A lot of my coworkers wrote some very funny sketches. I'm going to shill for Bruce again. I think he was phenomenal in that. Great actor. So there's a lot of fun stuff in there, but it was brutal shooting that in addition to managing teams and producing YouTube content. And then there was the pro wrestling doc, House of Pain, that was super, super fun to do, but also so exhausting and just ate up every last second in the day. So I wouldn't say no to those things again, but it definitely led to just a complete flare out. I think I had been working so hard with the false expectation that a lot of that work was it was like coins in a piggy bank that would come back to me someday. And then there were a couple of very specific moments where I had to realize, oh no, that's all gone. And I don't think anybody was even paying attention.
That must have been hard. But also, was there a thing that you held on to? Like, was there a piece of content that you just really loved and kind of got your energy back up? Like you were feeling like you loved that piece of content, loved making it?
There were a couple of things I would look forward to for sure. Anytime we did some kind of gimmick gameplay or we did anything that was a little bit elevated, I remember the drunk gameplays I really liked because it was I like drinking, I like video
games. It's like a
party. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it
Yeah.
seemed like one of the few times I could actually really tie one on with my coworkers and we could have fun together, even if it's for content, but even still. So I looked forward to those. But yeah, in 2019 actually is when those stopped making it okay. Even the thing that I was looking forward to could not make me happy enough to balance everything out anymore. And that's when the floor kind of fell out. But yeah, all of those things, the drunk gameplays I have very fond memories of. But I mean, you want to talk about a meltdown. I'm pretty sure I did have a big crying fit in the middle of one of the drunk streams in 2019. That's how bad off I was. So yeah, I needed help pretty badly and eventually figured out how to get it for myself.
What did that look like? Like when you ended up leaving Funhaus and moving on to your own stuff, what was that transition like?
It was tense for me, I guess. I did not feel particularly celebrated when I left. But I acknowledge that I was not the easiest to get along with. So there's no real hard feelings about that. I just knew that it was a bad place for me and I needed to get away from it. Is kind of where I was at. And yeah, it was like a chapter ending and I was kind of sad about that. But I had kind of already exhausted every last mental avenue I had to try to find a way to stay there. So there was no looking back for me at that point. Yeah, there was just something like a twig snapped in my brain. And it's like, okay, that can't walk back over that bridge ever again because I've forced myself too many times to do that. So it was emotional, but the feedback was immediate. Everybody was super supportive. It was a incredible breath of air to have full days where I didn't have to do anything because I've worked full time since I was 15 years old and never really had an extended break ever in that. So I think it was not only overwork, self-inflicted overwork to some degree at Rooster Teeth, but a lifetime of work that I never really had a gap year or anything like that.
Just to take a
So
breather.
right.
Yeah.
So I started to do that, and then COVID happened. So I got the most
You had
enforced
a
breather.
forced breather at that point.
Yeah, I sure
Yeah.
did. So yeah, I actually had some job opportunities lined up talking after leaving Rooster Teeth, but then COVID, those all evaporated because they kind of involve travel and production and stuff like that with big teams. So yeah, all that work just stopped. So yeah, I ended up streaming full time for basically a year, and then got the itch again. Bruce and I had talked in the past and always said, hey, if we ever go independent, I'd still want to work with you. We kind of said that mutually. So after a year of just streaming full time, I got the itch to do something a little more complicated than just hitting live and talking. So we started Inside Games. Was my attempt, at least, at keeping one claw in the thing that I'd put so much time into. We're entering our fifth year. It's the longest I've ever worked on any version of Inside Gaming, and the irony is not lost on me that it's the one that I own. So, and then a little bit later, Bruce and Kasim G got together. They started the channel, Brought You This Thing, and they invited me to be a part of it.
Amazing. And has it felt more fulfilling, I wonder, than the craziness you were going through, or is it just different?
Oh, it's far more fulfilling in certain ways. One of the things that just would make my heart very heavy working at my previous job was not only realizing that it was my job to make everyone around me look good on camera. And some people I didn't want to do that for.
You didn't want to do it for some folks. I see.
I didn't feel good about the work I did enriching certain folks based on their behavior. And that's it. Multiple layers of the company. I'm not saying that about any one individual, but the organization itself. Well, I'm saying that about a few certain individuals, but I won't get into that. Just the organization itself. I was like, I don't feel good about the way this is being run. I don't feel good about the way that this organization treats its employees. I don't feel good about a lot of things. So it's so much more rewarding now to be able to pick the people that I work with and feel good about the opportunities and money that we can generate working together, versus that I'll just going to like the production plans of a meeting I'm not even in the room for. People decide how to spend all that money and give very little of it back to me. That was the other thing, is the salaries were not great. So the moment I went independent, my income basically doubled overnight. So that removed a lot of stressors right away.
Oh yeah. You're like, damn, I should have done this sooner.
Yeah.
Yeah. But you did it, I think, at the perfect time, because, there was a lot of upheaval, and I think people were looking to support you guys in a whole different way. Like, for going independent and all that. And now it's been a huge success for you guys.
Yeah, we got there. It was tricky for a bit because both Bruce and I were on the same level on this. We didn't want anything we did to be seen as competing with our friends who were still doing that same kind of content. So we waited until I think even Rooster Teeth shut down Inside Gaming again to launch our thing. And then, kind of waited until the Funhaus channel kind of migrated away from focusing on that kind of content as much to do our own thing. So we never really wanted to invite the comparison or like, this is the next step, or that people should follow us, or that we're competing at all. So we just tried to play it safe. And there were a couple of other like dramatic things that people even accused us of leaning into, even though we very much tried to stay out of. I don't know. It's a whole mess. But yes, eventually we managed to thread the needle, I guess, and land where we landed.
Yeah. I mean, it's hard. It's a hard thing to do. And people always have something to say about everything on the internet. So I think you guys navigated and with intention. You were really like intentional about picking the right time for things.
Yeah. Yes. It's not typically the way that things are done on the internet. There's not typically any kind of consequence for doing the tasteless thing, but if I get to choose, at least I could choose the thing that I can sleep with at night.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, well, let's talk a little bit about the industry, because you are somebody who's very well versed in that, and it's not often I have guests who can like kind of speak to it. But we, of course, have the gaming industry has gone through a whole thing, and it's still going through it. But I wanted to get your take on GTA 6. It's coming up. Expectations. Do you have any expectations for when it releases? Like, where are you at right now with GTA 6?
I'm excited to see just how observable the consequence will be. Is this going to be like bus line shut down because everyone called into work kind of thing? I'm not sure how widespread it'll be, but I do kind of want it to be a little apocalyptic just for a short amount of time.
That would be cool.
Wouldn't it? Yeah. I like Dragon Quest 3 level in Japan or whatever. But I guess it's hitting the point of popularity where now people are saying that it's overhyped or whatever. I don't know. Rockstar Games makes amazing games. That's kind of an objective truth. You don't have to like them, but they're amazing. And they're one of the few, I guess what I love about them is they're one of the few game makers that specifically make games about American culture, which is a bit different than an American video game. You know, Call of Duty is very American, but it's not necessarily about American culture in the way that GTA is. So I'm looking forward to that, seeing if they can even find a way to satirize what's going on. Because, yeah, real life is stranger than fiction these days.
Totally. Yeah, I'm very curious to see what they do with the story on that one. Thoughts about the leak that just happened?
Oh, I mean, yeah, I think this is the first of the weird stuff. There's going to be a lot of people who are going to try to piggyback on the popularity of GTA 6 to promote themselves or their crypto or whatever it happens to be. So this is a pretty interesting opening shot. Yeah, it seems like they have a playable build of the game. So they actually do have something. They have a little, I think everybody thought they just had videos, and there's only so much leverage you have with that. But if they have game assets and they can threaten to release them, then I guess it's a race for them to rug pull their crypto before the FBI kicks in their door. We'll see which happens first.
We'll see what happens. On a more positive note, gaming industry stuff that we love to talk about is our Game of the Year picks, right? So I was wondering if you currently have a Game of the Year that you would put as your top game, pending GTA 6, all these other games that are coming out the rest of the year.
Yeah, I was panic scrolling the releases of the year so far on the side here. I guess it might be Resident Evil Requiem. Yeah, not a very like underground pick, but it was such a great ride. And it's just like people at the top of their game making the top of their game content. Or I guess actually, well, on that note, now that I think about it, Doom, The Dark Ages Revelations, the DLC that just came out, that actually might be my game of the year so far. It is truly artists that were unfortunately at the top of their game, making the best stuff that they've made in their careers, and that's pretty obvious playing it.
Yeah. Do you think it'll make the top of the list at the Game Awards?
No.
Yeah.
Maybe if it's in a restrictive category.
Different category, yeah.
Yeah, there's like all awards shows, the Game Awards are made by and run by human beings, and human beings are a little irrational, I think, sometimes with their tastes. So there are some trends about what tends to get nominated and win at the Game Awards, and I think Doom DLC is twice outside of any of those trends.
That's true. That's very true. But what a great game. And also, we still have GTA 6. We still have Wolverine. There's so many other games that are going to be coming out. So it'll be interesting to see which ones make the list this year. All right.
Well, what's your game of the year? Oh, wait. I want to hear yours.
Yeah. My game of the year. It's hard because I've been playing a lot of older games, but I really like Pocopia. I thought that was really fun for me. Gave me a little bit Animal Crossing vibes, which I loved. But I think for me, it's either going to be between GTA 6 and Wolverine. Though those are kind of my go-to that I'm most anticipating those two to be really good. You know?
Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah.
I'm excited for Wolverine too. Just like a linear action game. Those don't exist much anymore.
It's bringing back Arkham vibes for me, which I'm like all for.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Taking a little bit of a different approach, what is something that either in your personal or professional career that you have goals-wise that you're hoping to achieve soon?
I have such a weird and potentially unhealthy relationship with pursuing goals that now that I've got most of mine, I don't know. It is weird to kind of think about, well, what's next? Do I invent a goal just to have something to motivate me? It doesn't sound very aspirational, I think, to just say, no, I'm good.
Yeah. But that's okay too. Like too many people are, my question's a little, we're all kind of coming out of this, like the grind mindset of like,
100%.
Career focused, and like, that's all that matters. So I think it's okay to be like, I'm good, actually.
I have fitness goals. Those are always going to be there. There's always going to be something. I have professional, I'd like to earn more business for our channels so that not only I earn more money, but everybody earns more money. because there's some team members that we have that could use some more cash. Who couldn't, right? So growing that, to maybe bring on more people or whatever, produce more content, play more video games. Apart from that, just live life, spend time with my wonderful partner, enjoy some great meals, go to some cool locations on this planet Earth before I either can't or they're not there anymore. Who knows? So yeah,
Hopefully
really
Greece.
yes. Yeah. Hopefully I can close out this tournament and we can go on an expensive trip to Greece.
Oh
Yeah,
man.
we'll say that's my objective right now is to win this tournament and treat my girlfriend.
Oh, I love that. I'm sending you all the good juju.
Thank you.
Yeah. Um, Last question. This is what I ask all of my guests before we go. What are 3 games that define you as a gamer if you could only pick 3?
Oh gosh. Okay. First one would probably be Tetris
Okay.
because it's
I
perfect.
love Tetris.
Yes.
I'm
How good
into
is
it.
it?
I've been playing on the mobile version and I pay a subscription now.
Oh,
I'm super
Tetris
into
Plus?
Tetris. I don't know if it's called that, but yeah, it's just the mobile version. Ad free, hopefully.
Yeah, I've done a whole lot of trauma processing while playing Tetris. It also just for me is kind of it's the perfect game because it can scale up infinitely. It can reach the limits of the human ability to perceive things with your brain and have motor signals transfer to your fingers to play it. So it's one of the few games that there basically is no skill cap for. But also it's like something everyone can play. There really isn't anything like that.
And you're right that it does. I've heard there's been a study that it helps with anxiety, right? Or it helps with like rewiring your brain. I don't know.
There's a variety of things. I think the most classic is that it induces the flow state, which is what people get into when they're playing music or
creating.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's when it's not a conscious thought anymore. For me, I got there with fighting and martial arts. It's just like you get in this like instinctual operation, and that state is very healthy for the human mind. Interesting stuff. But also, it's just a nice game to play while I'm thinking about my own thoughts. Gosh. Okay, so number 2, I guess, would have to probably be Doom. Then maybe the legacies of all Dooms, but for sure the original Doom. Because that's like growing up in Texas, that was kind of like a hometown hero game. I think it was recently named as one of the U.S.'s most most influential cultural products.
Whoa.
For the whole lineup of America, I think for every decade they had 25 different. I'm trying to remember the outlet that did this, but anyway,
they need to make a movie about that game one of these days.
I think they were trying to. There's books that despite saying I read books, I haven't read yet. Doom Guy, and then there's another one, but and then 3. The third game would probably be Earthbound, the Super Nintendo RPG.
Oh yeah,
because it introduced me to a lot of music I had never heard before playing that game. The game has ska and reggae and rock and roll and acid jazz and just loads of cool music that even just the other night I went to see Herbie Hancock perform Miles Davis at the Bowl, and some of their like jazz breakdowns, I was like, oh, this is Earthbound music, which is a great thing for a kid to be exposed to. So that was fun. And the older I get, the more I realize the things about it that I loved even as a kid, I can think about them more consciously as an adult. But there was that, and then the writing in it is super weird. It's also got a particular perspective that I really like, which is the world seen through children's eyes. All the adults in that game are just obsessed with their dumb adult stuff that makes no sense to a kid. So it's a fun way to see the world. You kind of see just how arbitrary and silly some things are. It's like a Kurt Vonnegut thing of like, what if an alien could perceive us watching soccer? They'd think it's the silliest thing in the world.
Right. But I'm sure they have their own version of soccer. I always think about that. I wonder what that's like. I'd be curious. Those are great picks. I love it. And also the other thing with Earthbound is, we all try to go back to that childlike wonder that we had, right? Growing up, we're always kind of chasing that. I feel like that's one thing I learned in my wise years.
There's a lot of that sensation baked into that game for sure.
Totally.
Return to innocence.
Yeah. Great picks. Well, Lawrence, I'll leave you to your day. This was so great having you on the show. Really good luck in that tournament. I'm going to be rooting for you. Do you know when it ends? Do you know when the full thing gets decided?
Well, there's another draft round next Thursday. And if I don't get redrafted onto a team, then I'm out.
Right.
If I do, then I think I play another 2 weeks, and then I'm the champion of this chapter.
Got it.
And then there's 4 chapters, and all of those champions
my
going
goodness.
for like
Okay.
a final thing in like November, I think. So it's going to go on for a while.
Going for a bit. All right. Well, best of luck to you. You're what, halfway through it? Or a quarter?
Well, maybe just at the beginning.
Okay,
It's only going to
just
get
the
harder as I
beginning.
go, so that's how I'm thinking about it.
You're going to get it. I'm so stoked for you. And thank you so much for being on the show. It's been so great chatting and catching up and hearing your stories. You're
Hey, thank
a
you.
great entertainer, and I am so lucky to get to call you a friend.
Oh gosh, you're being too kind, but thank you very much. I feel exactly the same, and I
Hell yeah.
appreciate you giving me an opportunity to blast all my hot air.
Oh, it's so fun. We'll have to have you on the show again.
Sure, I'd love it.
Awesome. Well, have a good one. Later. Thanks for watching myself and Sonntag chat about video games. If you enjoyed it, please subscribe. We're always trying to raise the bar of who we can get on the show, so it helps out a ton. Thanks again, and I'll see you next episode.